and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, 11 days after the Uri attack, India struck back with surgical strikes at terror launch pads across the LOC, killing around 40+ terrorists along with their supporters. This has drastically changed the rules of engagement with India and Pakistan, when India has shown that we will no longer be a punching bag, we can and we will hit back. Joining me for this on the roundtable is Rajiv Chandrasekhar. He is an independent MP from the Rajya Sabha. We have Subramanian Swamy, BJP leader and Rajya Sabha MP. We have Jay Panda, who is a leader from the BJD and also an MP from the Lok Sabha. And also we have Pawan Verma, who is a leader from the JDU. Rajiv, I'm going to begin with you first. Can you first explain, there's a lot of confusion into what is a surgical strike, what is artillery fire. There's been a lot of confusion on this issue. So we went in for a surgical strike. Exactly what does that mean?
No, I think surgical strike it involves use of specialized commandos and special forces that are inserted with a specific mission, targeted at a specific target to minimize collateral damage. It is not the conventional warfare where armies roll in announcing their presence. This is silent, stealth, and very directed and precise. And it uses, as we have now begun to find out, it uses very specialized units in the Indian Army called the para-commandos, also known as the Red Berets and the Special Forces.
Okay, and your reaction to this?
No, I've written about it, and I think I spoke a whole day about it yesterday, going waxing eloquent about what a great thing this is.
Wax eloquent a bit more.
Yeah, wax eloquent about what a good thing this is, because I think for the last several years, we have reduced doing nothing to a security doctrine called strategic restraint. It's an interesting phenomenon where inaction is translated into a security doctrine. And I think for the first time, India is demonstrating, not just to the external world and to Pakistan, but also to inside India, that we not only have the capability to do these things, but we have the political will and the gumption to take the fight to the terrorists if that is required. For too many years, I think the country and the army and the political class had begun to believe that we are incapable of doing anything but whine in the face of Pakistani terrorism.
Dr. Swamy, what was the thinking behind this? Since when was it planned, from that speech of Prime Minister Modi's?
No, it's, see, the contingency plans are always there in the ministries. The defense ministries, as he said, that the special services unit has always been various alternatives, and they are all, you just have to take a printout almost like that. The issue was that at some stage, not the near recent past, but I would say over the last 6 months, Modi had begun toying with the idea that the Pakistanis, we have done about as much as we can, and they are not going to change because of the structure inside, which he himself started articulating by saying that the political authority has no, I think it's Rawalpindi's cantonment which is running the government, and so those things, and that they are separate parts, Baluchi and Pakistan and so on, in his last speech. So there was a transition, and then being Modi, he is a man, if he makes up his mind, it's very difficult for anyone to change it. He came to a conclusion, and then he took two of his senior most colleagues in the dealing with this area in the cabinet, and they took the decision.
Jay, you've been also writing about this even before the strike took place also. What do you have to say about the timing of this? We wait till Sushma Swaraj comes back. That's, there is a diplomatic offensive and then we do this.
Well, I think the timing is as close to perfect as it could have been, because it was not knee-jerk. It allowed for those 10-11 days for the diplomatic offensive, which was quite effective. Sushma ji's speech at the UN was phenomenal, and the Prime Minister's speech also, where he raised the tone, he took the high road, as a Prime Minister ought to, in talking about the war. War should be about poverty and all of that. And it set the stage for the armed forces, the commandos that Rajiv was talking about, to plan their operation, and as has been said, to strike at a time of our convenience. When I wrote about this, it was just a day before the attack took place across the LOC. My point was that we have to break out of this strategic gridlock that we have been in since 1998. Because since both Pakistan and India became nuclear powers, Pakistan has taken it to a perverse extent. If you look at the Cold War dynamic, the nuclear doctrine was that both sides exercise restraint, because if it escalates, it can become a doomsday scenario. Pakistan, like a crazed person holding a gun to its head, used its nuclear cover to continually push its proxies to keep attacking India. Mumbai 2611, Pathankot, and any number of dozens of other incidents that we all know we have been pinched. And all we could ever do was only respond in words, because of the fear that if you do anything more, it can keep getting escalated. But the point is, between doing nothing and just saying words, and between escalating to a war scenario, there is plenty of headroom to do many other things. And that strategic headroom was not being explored at all. It's a good thing that this decision was taken. The capability has been there for some time. It was a political decision, political will that was necessary. And it's a good thing. Covert operations is only one aspect. And this is one example. It perhaps can also include other examples in the future. But there are so many other ways that the pressure can be ratcheted up. As has been said by some important political commentators, this terror option was a cheap option for Pakistan to bleed us. Now, we have to make it costly. It can't remain a cheap option for them. I'm glad that across the political spectrum, everybody in India is supporting this.
Dave, I just want to add one thing. According to my understanding, you may be right or may be wrong, the timing was not taken, the date was not decided by the politicians. It was decided
No, sir, I didn't say that. I just said that as far as India is concerned, it worked out well because the time was given to the armed forces.
When you're ready, tell us.
Yes.
They told us.
So just a coincidence, it happened the day Sushma landed back from
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Okay, that's interesting. Pawan, you know, I've seen you usually being critical of Prime Minister Modi. So are you also going to be appreciating the strike on this, or?
No, I think that in a democracy, you can have several opinions on issues, but on this particular action taken by the government, I have publicly, and so has Mr. Nitish Kumar, unreservedly congratulated the central government and our brave armed forces for the decisive action against terrorism. The nation comes first, and while in a democracy, there can be many views on how to act or what to do. There are occasions also when the whole nation unites.
Correct.
My own personal view is that, as many of people spoke here today, you see, Pakistan had perfected a policy of explosive aggression and tactical appeasement. And India seemed to be falling flat between two stools because it was an asymmetrical conflict. They were using proxies and terrorism to inflict, as per their doctrine, 1,000 cuts. And India didn't really find the right pace in which to respond. So we had what is called dossier diplomacy. We showed restraint not only earlier.
And
I really think
mango and the shawl diplomacy.
This goes beyond parties. I mean, I would, for instance, believe that in the Kargil war, when there was verifiable intrusion into our territory, the right thing would have been to go and seal the line of control to the extent possible in order to cut off supplies to the infiltrators, rather than arguing your case of getting certificates of restraint from the chancelleries of the world, because it was certain that 1,000 or more of the flower of your armed forces, the soldiers and the young officers, would be meeting a certain death, trying to gain the vantage points where the Pakistani troops were planned. Similarly, I would say that after Pathankot and so on and so forth, we keep trying to find the right response and hoping that reason would prevail rather than. So I think that logjam has been broken from. And for once we've shown that against their policy, which is clear, which is consistent, we can come out with a measured, effective, strategically planned and well-delivered response.
Okay. Rajiv, Jay spoke about this being the cheap option or whatever. What next? What else can we do to follow it up? I mean, there are already moves that isolating them on
No,
the
I think there is a growing realization that Pakistan is vulnerable in more ways than one. It is that we have not exploited those vulnerabilities. The diplomatic isolation of Pakistan clearly shows that there is very little support, residual support left for Pakistan, excepting for maybe China. But the point here is that Pakistan today is economically a basket case and is very, very vulnerable to a concerted international and our own actions against them on trade, on finance, on even issues like the Indus Water Treaty. And I have argued that India has multiple tools in its toolkit. We have the diplomatic option, which we have rolled out and it is paying dividends. We have the military option that has been exercised and it is now out there for everybody to see. And we have the economic options. We should review and repeal the MFN status. We should review the Indus Water Treaty. We should make financial transactions between citizens of Pakistan and any entity in India illegal. So there are many ways to choke Pakistan. Slow, steady, not to meet the news headlines, timelines of television channels or newspapers. But there is a way to get Pakistan to understand that this strategy of theirs is an expensive strategy and not a cheap one, as Jay has pointed out, that they've been led to believe all these years.
I slightly disagree that Pakistan is completely internationally isolated. It's a goal that we should aim to achieve. I mean, China has been an all-weather friend of Pakistan. And the United States, for all its occasional homilies on both sides should have a dialogue and Pakistan should not sponsor terror, does very little to actually put pressure on Pakistan, which it can do. And there have been occasions when Pakistan has cocked the snook at the United States. When a drone attack killed a few Pakistani soldiers, for 6 months they prevented supplies reaching Afghanistan through Pakistan, and America finally almost was pleading to be once again back in their good books. So I believe that the isolation of Pakistan, which requires a diplomatic blitzkrieg, should proceed in parallel. There is a need for maximum vigilance. This is not the time for euphoria. This is the time to plan and not gloat, to in a sense be proud but not boast, because we are dealing with a very unstable state, Priya. We are dealing with a state which is a rogue state in many ways, and we should keep that factor in mind.
Priya, I just want to clarify. I did not say that we have isolated Pakistan. I am saying that the process of isolating Pakistan is clearly underway. The world today is fed up with anybody who aids and abets terrorism in such an obvious manner. I am not saying China has stopped supporting Pakistan, but it is not in China's interest, and they realize that, to continue to make a case of supporting a country that has been named and shamed all over the world.
Yeah, I think first of all, I would think that the government of India would be more than satisfied if the international support